And I'm in Redwood Valley, California. This will work great with the raw cow's milk, so that'll be perfect. Yeah. Okay, so we're recording all of this. So do you have your milk with you? Okay.
Us, no.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through all of the stages. I'm going to do the milk. I have already the finished product, so I have it all set up in every stage. And then I will send you the cheese recipe specifically how I do it, okay? And it's really simple. So just to start out with, I had my teacher, Juliette de Barclay-Leve, she's written many books, Herbal for Farm and Stable and things. When she lived in the United States, she lived here with us. So we took an old dress of hers and I made a basket. And that's my cheese basket, and it's nice and soft, so I can keep it right in the corner here of my kitchen, so I can pull it out, and this way I can make cheese while I'm making my coffee. And that's really important to me, because taking time. So usually how many gallons are you dealing with of milk when you said you have cow milk?
Well, we can do whatever. Well, I have limited supply.
Great.
Unlimited supply, so.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my stove and I'm going to show you exactly what I do is we add 1/4 cup white vinegar, just the distilled vinegar. We put 1/4 cup to every every quart of milk. So we'll come on over to the stove here. And, you know, it's not rocket science, so you don't have to be really perfect, okay? So we're going to say this is pretty much a 1/2 gallon of milk, right? So I'm going to pour a 1/2 gallon of milk in. I'm going to pour another 1/2 gallon of milk in. And then I'm going to pour the gallon of milk in. So, I can't get it open. I'm not going to. And so we're going to have 2 gallons of milk. So that's going to be basically 2 cups of vinegar. So you can measure the vinegar. I got a 1/4 cup here, but I just kind of guesstimate what I've got, and then I just add the vinegar. I do this so much that, and so quickly that I always guesstimate when I'm pouring. But we'll do 2 full cups of vinegar in here. And then I just put a towel on it. And you can see up here, I've got it in different stages. So this here is my cheese that we're going to hang right now, the next stage. So I'm going to take this one off and switch the towel, put it on here. And if you have cats in your house, you need to put something solid on top of there, because cats will jump on top of the towel and it will make a big mess. They love to get to that milk. Yeah, there you go. So you want to put something, you know, like I have a screen here, you know, a screen that, you know, for your bacon. And you can put that right on there and then put the towel over the top of that, just so the cat doesn't push it in. So we're going to do is we're going to put the milk onto the stove, and we're going to heat it up to about 180 degrees. But you don't have to. What I do is I just feel the outside of the pot, see if it's warm, stick my finger in there, and if it feels warm, that's all you need to do. Okay? And my friend here who's videotaping was saying, you need to tell them to heat the milk up first. You don't always have to heat the milk up first. And I'm just turning it on. You want to make sure when you have it, when you put it in your pot, that you have a good bottom of your pot. You don't want to have a thin bottom pot. It will just scorch. Okay? And then we're just gonna heat that up. Once that's done, great. So Wendy, how much milk do you have there? How much?
I have lots and lots of wonderful milk that came from a certain friend over in Redwood Valley.
And you have 2.5 gallons. I can't remember what you took.
I believe it is, yeah.
So she has 1 gallon of milk. So she's going to add 1 cup of the vinegar. Okay.
So for this much, how much vinegar would I need to add?
If you have 1 gallon of milk, you're going to add 1 cup of vinegar, because it's 1/4 to every quart. That's 1/4 cup to every quart. And Wendy, what I told, this is Brent and Barb here with us. They're husband and wife. He's not really outside because he's in Connecticut. It's not sunny in the garden out there.
Nice backdrop.
And what Grange are you all from?
Pagcanic Grange.
Okay, great.
I ask what kind of cheese you're making.
I'm making kitchen goat cheese. It's with goat milk. And I just call it kitchen cheese. Some people say, oh, Jini, you make a great chef, but I'm not using those cultures because I'm really into sustainability. That's it, Wendy. That's what you got. I got the same one.
Okay. 1 cup, huh? Okay. I just poured in the pot on the stove with the milk and
heat up your milk, Wendy. You're gonna turn your stove on and heat it up, and you're gonna get it warm to touch, and you're gonna stick your little finger in there, feel the outside, and you're going to see that it will start to curdle. And I know Wendy took her milk out of the refrigerator during our last meeting.
At what point do I add the vinegar?
As soon as it's warm and about 180 degrees, or you can just feel the outside of the pot or put your finger in when it's warm, when it's not cold any longer.
Kind of like making yogurt. So then do I stop the heat?
And then you turn off the heat. You can add your vinegar. I added the vinegar early because mine is not real. My milk was already older. Actually, yours is probably going to be fine too.
Okay.
So you just add the vinegar. And now what I do is, I already heated that up. So anyway, that's up on the pass-through. So when you're done, when you have it heated up, you put it on the pass-through. I'm using the wrong one here. And then you don't want to stir it. The big thing, and I want to remind you all, my husband has been doing milk with me for years and years and years, for the whole 30 years. But occasionally he forgets and he stirs it because he thinks that's a good idea. It's not a good idea because you're separating the curds and whey.
So once I pour in the cup of vinegar, I just let it sit there. I don't do anything.
You're going to heat it up, and then you're going to pour in the cup of vinegar after it's warm, and then you're going to put a towel over it. This is the part you missed. So then
And don't stir. Don't stir.
Don't stir it. You're going to put a towel over it and put it up somewhere where it can sit overnight.
Cool or warm?
Right as it's warm, and you add the vinegar, you put a towel over it. So it's up here. I put it up just up out of the way in my pass-through here to keep it.
So it doesn't have to be in a fridge or in a warm spot, just any old place.
Up, out of the way, and not outside where flies are going to get it. And I suggest that you put a towel over the top, but if you have cats in the house, I was suggesting you put a screen like this or something over it because
Cats!
And you know, Wendy, I will show you my cheese basket and everything later because I already showed it to Brent and Barb, and I don't want them to have to be bored here. So we're gonna go on over now to my sink. And we're going to strain it, because what we're going to do is strain it and put it in a bag, like right here. I have this hanging up. Remember I said you can do everything with what you already have. I bet you, Barb, maybe you will know what this is. Wendy, do you know what this is?
Yeah, it's a purse holder. It's a purse holder.
It's a purse holder. Remember purse holders? Well, you said that I remember my grandmother and mother never went out of the house without it. It's this little thing with a nice little jewel, and it's just a purse holder, but they're great for hanging cheese. So you can I put it up here on the shelf and I hang the cheese. I also have, which is probably hard to see, but I have little U-nails here that I just have up here on my wood so that I can tie if I need to. But these are very convenient. You can have any kind of hook, and you have to make sure that you have a bowl underneath it when you hang. That's going to collect your whey. So
How long does it have to sit before you can put it in the bag?
just overnight.
Okay.
8 hours, 8 hours is good enough.
Okay.
I made cheese this morning. We went shopping this morning and then came home and hung the cheese. And so it looks like that. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put the cheese in a cheese bag. Now, you can use a piece of fabric, like, remember the old gym bags? Those little, remember gym bags? To bring your gym clothes. Does anybody have that? It just has to be a nice.
Like one of those net bags?
And so, yes, any kind of net bag. I am using here, I'm using the vegetable bags that you can get at the co-op or a natural food store, to bring your vegetables home. Anything that's a porous little bag, you can make it out of any fabric that's porous. I actually had a young intern here that made it out of her old costume because she had all this netting, lace netting, and she has the most beautiful cheese bags, much nicer than mine. So what you want to do is you want to get your bags and you have them ready. You take okay, so I'm going to do this over my sink, and on my sink here, I have a bowl. I'm going to put it underneath my colander. You can use any kind of colander. But if you see here on my sink, I've got all my soaps here, and I moved them when I hung some cheese earlier, but I told Esther I want to leave them here so that I remind you that when you're pouring your cheese, you want to remove all of those soaps and things, okay? That's really important so you don't end up with that in your cheese. So now I'm going to take my bag and I'm going to hold it open here. Hey, Peter, you want to help me? I'm going to get my husband to be my Vanna White here. And he's going to hold this open. And what I'm going to do is, can you see this here? I'm using a slotted spoon, a slotted like spatula here, and I'm pulling up all the curds that are in there and sticking it in the bag. All the curds and sticking it in the bag. And you can do this. So I have a strainer below any kind of colander just in case your bag drops. And what's happening here is the curds going into the bag that I'm going to hang, and the whey is going down into the bowl in the bottom. Now, Barb and Brent, do you have a septic system at your house, or do you have just regular?
Septic system, yes.
Oh, well, you will love this one.
Yep.
We have a septic system here, and we had the Roto-Rooter used to come, and they said every couple of years you want to have, the thing pumped out because we had people here, children and all. And I went 9 years and went, oh my God, I forgot to clean out my pump and so there must be, it's probably going to back up any minute now. And the Roto-Rooter guys came out and said, your pump is like, everything is clean there. Your tank, are you going ahead and adding something? Are you adding the EMS and all this other stuff? And I said, nope, I just put goat whey down all my drains. And that decomposes everything in your sewer system, your septic system. So I use all the whey to clean my septic system out, and also I save whey and bottle it so that I can cook rice in it and or smoothies with it, because people spend a lot of money these days to have whey. You know, they buy it for their protein drinks and everything. So it's really important. And I'm sure if you have cow's milk, you probably have a lot of ideas for whey. What do you do with your whey?
You make me shakes.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage you to go back to your milk, Wendy, and check it out. And
I just added the vinegar.
Okay.
It was warm enough, so I added the vinegar.
And then you're going to put your towel on it and put it up out of the way so that Kirk doesn't get into it and your dog doesn't get into it. And then, so now what I have is, I'm just going to keep moving right along here so that we can get this in 1 day, 1 hour. And so I'm just going to tie the bag up here, and then I am going to hang it over my bowl and let it sit.
For how long?
You know, it'll differ. It'll differ, especially if you have cow milk. So for sure overnight, if you get overnight, you'll have kind of a very, very cream, almost like a sour cream. It's still kind of sour creamy at that point. But if you leave it there until till it has a consistency of, what would I say that is? Like a little gel bag or something. This one's been hanging for probably 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, and it is the consistency that is almost ready to use. And when we come over here, I'll show you finished cheese that I like the consistency of.
So the curds won't drip through the knitting on the knit bag. It's gelled enough that it will just let the liquid drip through.
Yes. And so all the whey will go through there. You're catching your curds. You can use any colander. It doesn't have to be that kind I had. But make sure you do it over your sink and over a bowl so you catch that whey, okay? And then I bottle the whey to use for later. That's in the bottom here. So I have from that bag of cheese, I have this much whey, so that's quite a bit. And I'll have more when I hang the rest of my cheese, which I'll do when we're done showing you how to do this. So then we're going to go over back to my cheese bag here, and I'm going to put my cheese basket down, and I have prepared, we got some basil and some garlic. You can use any herbs you want this is the way to spice it. You can make it with apricots and make it sweet. You can add honey. You can add whatever you want, whatever your flavoring is. But what I did was I cut up some garlic here and some basil from the garden. It's all cut up. And I made, this is cheese that came down after being hung for, this probably was hung for 24 hours or so. We left it there, but see, it's pretty, almost, like a strong cottage cheese, right? That's how thick it is. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, you can keep it there.
Okay.
I'm going to get a bowl and I am going to simply add my cheese. Now, lots of people say, oh, if I do it with vinegar, I wouldn't want to make sweet cheese because it'll be really sour. And that's not the case. It really doesn't take on the vinegar taste. And so now it's pretty, I've got this much in the bowl. It's nice and soft, pretty good consistency. I'm going to add my basil. This is just chopped up basil from my garden there. And I'm going to add a whole bunch of garlic because I want this to be really garlicky. And I'm just going to do kind of a garlic basil, which makes it a little pesto-y. And you can, and if you want it, can I have that salt right there? And if you want it extra creamy, you can add olive oil or one of your oils. I made a sesame apricot one time with sesame oil. I added sesame oil. It was delicious and creamy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some salt and basil and garlic and voila. And you do it to taste. Some people like a real salty cheese. Some people don't like any salt at all. When you're doing your sweet cheeses, I think people make a mistake when you're making your sweet cheese if you're using honey or fruit or something like that. People don't add salt, and you need to add a little bit of salt to make the cheese flavor really come out. Okay, so I'm just going to stir that up, and then I can make a ball. Oh, by the way, I washed my hands before we started all this, and I encourage you to keep washing your hands. But I did wash my hands, but I'm going to take my rings off now, and I'm going to re-wash my hands because I'm going to pick up this cheese in my hand and make a ball out of it. So I'm going to take my jewelry off to not infect my cheese, and I'm going to come over here and wash my hands. Back to the sink. Remember, we have to keep washing our hands and wear
Anyway.
masks and stay safe.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're all doing these days. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cheese ball. I'm going to pick it up, and it has great consistency where I can just make it into a ball. And you can make it into a great big ball or a little ball or a bunch of little balls. And my friend has been using cookie cutters, and she has a heart cookie cutter, and she has little heart cheeses. So she gives people heart cheese, which is really sweet. So I'm just going to set here. That's the ball. And here is a finished cheese ball. And this cheese ball here, I just put the cheese ball on there. I put a little kale down, went out and picked a few things from the garden, a little marjoram, beautiful purple flowers, put them in there, put a nice calendula flower on the top. And then people think, wow, that's nice. Now you can bring that to your potluck or serve it, and it looks beautiful. Put a few crackers around. So I've showed you how to use the fresh herbs and make a cheese ball. But now what I'm going to do is show you how you can, you know how you have a special spice that you like? It's, you know, oh, I love that Tuscany spice. I have a ginger chili spice that I like, that I buy at our local store here. You can just put your chipotle in it, you know, whatever you want. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to wash my hands again, and we're going to start over with this other cheese. And I'm just going to add some local spices. So some onion flakes. I'm going to add quite a few onion flakes to this. And I'm going to add a mesquite spice that I really like, that the guys down at our local store make up. Their mother makes up all these spices, and they're from Syria. So we get some great spices. And this is just a smoky mesquite, this kind of clump. So I'm going to break it up. And I think, Wendy, you had some of this mesquite cheese recently, right?
Yum.
So I'm getting another fork. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one, and I'm just going to stir it in. And I have not added salt yet, and because I want to stir in this, when you're stirring in different seasonings, a lot of them already have salt. So I have made the mistake way too many times of adding the salt first and then adding the seasoning, and it already had salt, and it's so salty I can't eat it. So
Yep,
yeah, and this is
been
pretty,
there, been that.
yeah. What a mistake, huh? Oh, I forgot. So I didn't even need to add salt because this mesquite had plenty of salt. And so that is it. That is so simple. And you can make it, and I do make it while I'm making my coffee and drinking my coffee in the morning. I just heat it up, throw the vinegar in, stick it up on the pass-through, go about my day, come back. When I have time, I hang it. And you can leave it in that pot 2 or 3 days.
Oh,
You don't
so if you don't get around to it, it's okay.
get around to it, it's not going to hurt it. You don't want to get it where it gets moldy, and it depends on how hot and your house is and that kind of thing. But it'll separate. Once it's separated, it is separated.
And the process is really similar if you're using raw cow's milk?
Yes, they're using cow's milk, and it's exactly the same.
This is too easy.
It's really, really easy. And, people want to make, cheese making's really hard. And I have grandchildren, I had foster children, so I have lots of grandchildren. And they always, we want cream cheese. Well, I don't have any cream cheese. Oh, I'll make some up real quick. They come. So you're going to get some really good cheese with that fresh cow milk. That's for sure. That's for